Oh, poop.
That's right, boys and girls. It seems like we have a weak battery. We're going to walk through the steps on how to test and change a car battery. Now, before you go out and buy any parts, like a starter or a battery, you're going to want to make sure it's actually the battery that's bad. Two ways you can test a battery are these tools right here. You've got a battery tester and a digital multimeter. Now, my battery tester is a little bit old, but it still works perfectly fine, and the digital multimeter can be used for many things. Right here, we're going to use it to measure how many volts our battery has. Your battery has two terminals. There's a positive terminal, which usually has a red plastic cover or a plus sign. The battery itself also has a plus sign on it. And you've got your negative terminal, which usually has no cover. It's just a thick black wire, and there's a minus sign on the battery case as well. I attached the red clamp of my battery tester to the positive terminal and the black one to the negative. Right off the bat, it told me the battery was weak, and once I applied an electric load, it told me the battery was bad. It's not putting out a high enough current. I can also use my digital multimeter just to see how many volts are in the battery. A battery should have about 12.6 volts, but if you see 12, that's acceptable. We touch the red lead to the positive terminal, the black lead to the negative terminal, and we see about 10 volts. All right, that's a little bit lower than what we would want. Now that we know our battery is bad, we're going to want to order a new one. All right, double check your year, your make, your model, your engine size, and order it up. Now, different vehicles have different sized batteries. There should be a sticker on the top that's going to have some numbers and letters. This battery here is a size 124R, and it's got 700 cold cranking amps. And so does our new battery. All right, 124R, 700 cold cranking amps. Now that we've got our new battery, we can start to take the old one out. Now, this process is going to be the same for almost every single car. While Mercedes and BMW and a Chrysler Sebring have their batteries elsewhere, most of the time it's going to be underneath the hood. Now, the first thing you're going to look for is your battery tie down. This keeps your battery from bouncing around. For this vehicle, we will remove this bolt, which holds down this plate, and that's our battery tie down. We'll move over to the negative battery terminal and loosen up this 10mm bolt right here. Then we'll slide over to the positive battery terminal and loosen up its 10mm bolt as well. Looking back at the negative terminal, I see some corrosion building up. And it's just this white flaky stuff. First thing we're going to want to do is spray some battery terminal cleaner on that corrosion so we can clean it off. While that's doing its thing, we're going to grab a 12mm socket and remove the battery tie down. This has some corrosion on it as well. I'm going to use a wire brush and just clean it off. You're going to want to clean off that foam before you start to work on these terminals. I'm going to spray it with some brake parts cleaner. You could just use warm water. That works just as fine. All right, so this is nice and clean. I'm going to grab a 10mm socket and loosen up these terminals. We're going to start with the negative terminal. All right, then the positive terminal. They're loose. They should just wiggle right off. Once those are off, you can lift the battery out of the engine compartment. Next, we're going to get the battery ready to be put in. I'm going to use this battery terminal tool to clean the terminals on the new battery. All right, the new battery comes with these little plastic caps, red and black. negative, and positive. We're going to take this end, just twist it over these terminals, right, and it cleans up the contact points. I'm also going to put the date on the battery. Now, car batteries should last anywhere from 3 to 7 years. I like to say about 5 years. Car batteries should last about 5 years. Next, we'll take the other end of this tool and clean the terminals on the car side. Right, it just fits right in the hole. You twist a few times, and it cleans up any dirt or corrosion. We'll spray some more of that terminal cleaner on here to get any leftover corrosion out of the way. Clean it off, and then we'll wipe down the mess that we made. Now we're ready to put our battery back in. Right, positive terminal first, then negative. Tighten those down. Then you're going to put your battery tie down in, tighten that down. And next, an extra step is I'm going to put some battery terminal protector on there so the corrosion doesn't build back up. The final step for me is using my digital multimeter to make sure the battery is okay, but also that the alternator is charging the battery, and maybe that's why it went bad in the first place. So we'll take our digital multimeter, red to positive, black to negative, and we're looking for those 12 volts right there. So this new battery is good. We're also going to start up the car and make sure the alternator is charging our battery at least 14 volts. So as the engine runs, the alternator is going to pump those 14 volts into the battery and keep it nice and charged. So that's the battery change for this 2008 Hyundai Azera. Like I said, the process is going to be similar on most small cars. It might be a little bit different on Mercedes, BMW. Some new SUVs have the battery in the floor by the seats. But for the most part, pop the hood, battery tie down, 2 terminals, right? Clean it all up, put it all back together, and your car will start right back up again. But anyway, it's Mr. V. I'll catch you next time.